I'm just a researcher. But for the record, my name is Jonathan Jones, and it's my pleasure and privilege to be your host and moderator for today. Today is March the 2nd, 2025, and it's just a few minutes after 5 o'clock. And we have this hour program every Sunday. And today we've dedicated it to discussing how to improve the outcome. And we're going to be relating to you a patented process. This process has been patented, and Dr. Prasad is the brain behind that process. Even though that particular process that he patented has not been brought to the market, you would not believe how the first cousin of that product is available to everyone over the counter. So that's what you're going to hear about today. Now, if you're not interested in hearing about, some product that could make a difference in the life of someone that you care about, then this is not the presentation to attend. But for those of you who are and have been affected in some way, I guarantee you're going to learn something today that could make a difference for you and someone that you care about. But we do need to make sure that you know something before we begin our presentation, because by law, we're required to let you know that the FDA has not evaluated these statements. And that's the comments that you're hearing from me or from Dr. Prasad, the PowerPoint presentation. I don't have a script that someone gave me. I'm just passing on to you information that I've researched and introducing to you the scientist who has researched far beyond that and actually produced new science that was worthy enough to be published. And so that's where we are today. But the FDA has not evaluated these statements. You're going to hear testimonials. They are purely anecdotal. That means the results are atypical. And that means that what happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Neither the Healthcare Support Association of America, Engaged Global, Dr. Prasad, Jonathan Jones, nor any of the hosts or co-hosts or authorized representatives are making any claims that the supplements that we'll be discussing will treat or cure any disease state. So please understand that. And we're going to show this disclaimer a number of times in our program, just so that even those who come in afterwards get the update. So it'll be throughout our presentation. We're not trying to just dump a lot of disclaimers on you. We're just trying to make sure that everyone knows. This presentation is for information and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for a visit to your doctor. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. So now, be that as it may, what you're going to hear is revolutionary. It could change your life. It could change the life of someone that you care about. Last week, I'm going to give you some of the statistics that we discussed last week before we talk about Dr. Prasad's research. And the statistics we talked about last week were quite sobering because according to the latest research out there, the American Cancer Society says that over 2 million new cases of cancer are expected to be diagnosed in the United States this year. 2 million new cases of cancer this year. And the depressing part about this entire thing is that 618,120 people are projected to die from cancer in the year 2025. And that figure breaks down to about 1,700 deaths per day. Now, last week we talked about just how significant that number is, because sometimes numbers and figures just really do not resonate. They just don't strike pay dirt with us. It's like you could be digging around panning for gold, and you can pan and pan and pan. All the dirt you see is just dirt. It's not until you grab a nugget does the significance of panning for gold matter to you. Well, we need to try to make this somewhat significant, because if you just doing the math, I Googled to see just how many people died on 9/11. And most of us remember where we were on 9/11. I know exactly where I was on 9/11. I was in front of a 7-Eleven, and I was sitting in a car, cup of coffee, doing some volunteer work. And a friend of mine came out. He saw it on the television. He said, the World Trade Center is a British guy. And I don't have a good British accent, so I can't duplicate it. But he says the World Trade Center has been hit by an airplane. We're under attack. I said, stop playing around, Ron. He says, no, I'm serious, man. And I said, okay, we're going home. Flew home. I mean, just because, this is a big deal if that is really the case. And sure enough, it was really early in the morning for me. And I told Joanne that she wasn't looking at the news. We turned on the television and we saw the second plane go into the building. And it was sobering for us because we had just visited the World Trade Center, not even 6 weeks before that. We had brunch at one of the restaurants on the 107th floor where the first plane went into the building, windows on top of the world. So that's why it was chilling for us. Now, you may not have that kind of a story, but I almost guarantee you that everybody remembers where they were. While I'm making this statement right now, a 9/11 just happened. You go back 38, 40, almost 40 hours ago right now, and the same number of people who died at 9/11 just died while we're having this conversation right now. Will you remember this moment? Will you remember where you are now? Probably not, because it's just another presentation. But you need to remember or be aware of the fact that 1,700 people die every single day. So every minute of every day, essentially a 9/11 is happening, and it's not on the news. No one's talking about it. No one's saying anything about it. Why? Because it's become routine. We just accept it. Car accidents happen, people die, rarely makes the news because it's become routine. It just happens. Another thing that happens. But it doesn't have to happen to you. And doesn't have to happen to your family, somebody you care about. And that's the beauty of this whole thing right now, is that because of Dr. Prasad's research, there's a way to improve the outcome. We're not saying that no one's going to ever get cancer. We're not saying that at all. But the outcome can be improved. Statistically, breast cancer is on top of the list when it comes to women, followed by lung cancer, followed right on the heels by colorectal cancer. Those are the top three most common cancers in women. And for men, is the only thing different is the number one, prostate cancer. That's the only difference between the top cancers for men and for women. It's followed by lung cancer, followed by colorectal cancer. Those are the most common. And these are all the latest statistics, by the way. Again, the American Cancer Society and the CDC. According to the CDC, there's still the number two leading cause of death after more than 100 years of research. Now, just pause for 1 second, back up to the early 1900s. There was no such thing as people dying from cancers. It was about 3%. 3%. So 3 out of 100 were dying from cancer back in the early 1900s. The number today is far different. It's far different. So you can almost say, in fact, I'll tell you who said this. Dr. Brian Clement from Hippocrates Institute said that cancer is a man-made disease. That's what he said. It's man-caused. So, and I believe that. I actually happen to agree with his opinion about that. Number two, leading cause of death. Now, the last time I got this slide, COVID was listed as number three. They've updated this since. So this is an old slide, so I got to change this for you. So I apologize. But COVID was listed as number three, followed by number four, accidents. Now, they changed that. Accidents. You know what it used to say? It used to say iatrogenics or death by doctor, medical mistakes. That's what it used to say. So they changed it to accident. So it says unintentional injuries, which now sounds a little bit different. Sounds like maybe someone died in a car accident. They fell off a bridge. They fell off a ladder. That's not what that is. That's death by medical system. That's what number four is on this list. So think about it. Number one and number two puts you in line for number four, medical mistakes. So my recommendation to everyone here is take charge. Take charge of your health. Take charge of where you land on the list of statistics. And there it is, just the top 10 cancers. The first four is the only ones that you need to pay attention to because they were the ones I just showed you for men and for women. Leading causes of cancer, we talked about this last week also. Not going to spend any time on this, but notice that obesity is number two as far as preventable causes of cancer is concerned. Preventable causes of cancer. And Dr. Prasad has handled that. But I do want you to see that UV radiation is on this list. Poor diet is on this list. And other things that really land into your control. The World Health Organization says that cell phones may cause cancer. That's right on the same list of things like smoking may cause cancer. But we're talking about improving the outcome. As far as treatment is concerned, these are the top 5 treatments for cancer. The top 5 treatments. Surgery, it is what it is. Chemotherapy, It's used to kill the cancer cells. One radiologist said on my program, he said, we can cure cancer. That's what he said. We can cure cancer. He says, we just can't keep the patient alive long enough. And what he meant was, and what he basically wanted to explain was, is that the treatment is as deadly as a disease. So they can kill the cancer, but at the same time, it's killing the patient, unfortunately. So that's what his statement was. Radiation therapy, targeted therapy, and immunotherapy. These are all things that are used to basically treat cancer right now. But here's the problem. There are side effects that come generally with conventional treatment. And this is not a news flash. This is not something breakthrough. This is old news, and it's not even controversial. I don't even get in trouble with YouTube for saying anything like this on YouTube, because it's accepted that there are side effects from this. And by the way, for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, thank you for joining us. And please like, subscribe, and share and comment on these videos, because it helps YouTube get a message that this information is relevant. But nausea and vomiting is right there on top of the list. Extreme fatigue on top of the list. Hair loss on top of the list. Compromised immune system, that's a no-brainer. It just is what it is. Cognitive impairment, or chemo brain, they refer to it as. And if you missed all of that, just look at this one slide right here. Take a picture of it. It's really got everything on it as far as the side effects are concerned. The one that's the least amount of side effects, and Dr. Prasad has echoed this, is the immunotherapy. So that's more targeted, and it's less harmful to the body than any of them all. But that's the bad news. The good news is that this gentleman was born. And this gentleman set himself on a path to change our lives. And I never imagined that one person, a little boy from India, would grow up to have an impact on my life and my family's life, and the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands, and soon to be millions of people, because he decided to focus in on helping people. He became the world's first radiation biology Ph.D. And his products right now have already been awarded 10 patents. We have patent pending product in the process. Every time he conjures something up, it's unique and it's patentable. So there's no question about what his capabilities are. So you can count on that. Congress spent millions of dollars behind this gentleman's research, and his first claim to fame was a product that was used by the military to help soldiers remain in optimal health on the battlefield. So that's pretty significant. He was a professor at University of Colorado School of Medicine for some 30 years. So he's not just Dr. Prasad. This is Professor Prasad that we're privileged to be dealing with. He had many major discoveries in the arena of cancer, and that's one of the reasons why we can respect what Dr. Prasad has done. This is just a snapshot of some of his published books. And we're about to take some time and talk about his new research, though. He has some patented research that was even published, too, when it comes to improving the outcome of chemotherapy and radiation. So it's my privilege to introduce to our discussion right now Dr. Kedar Prasad. And Dr. Prasad, I just want to say thank you again. And I know this sounds like a broken record sometimes, but thank you, sir, for being willing to join us on a day like this, and to address this audience in this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I always enjoy being with you and our engaged family members who are here today. And like you mentioned, I will give some brief history how I got involved in these kind of issues.
Please do.
The very interesting one is there. And, as you know, that chemotherapy and radiation therapy and all conventional therapy right now have increased the 5-year survival rate in most type of cancer, not all, most type of cancer. But side effect that you mentioned was very deadly, not only acute side effect that you mentioned, but the late also adverse side effects of chemotherapy and radiation.
Yes.
Include reoccurrence of the primary tumor and formation of a new cancer at a site which was not involved, but was involved in, so as an indirect effect. So, and also non-cancerous disease late effect. So these are the major concern of oncology at this moment. So the question was how to improve not only the survival rate, but also the toxicity of normal tissue. This was major concern, major issue. In 1914, a group of scientists, European scientists, it is not available right now, came out with a therapy called flash radiation therapy. Flash, F-L-A-S-H, flash radiation therapy.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it can. This is very interesting. It can deliver radiation dose to the tumor or tumor area at the rate of 40 gray, or the unit 40 GY, which is a unit of radiation per second, compared to conventional radiation therapy, which delivers 0.01 gray or GY per second. You can come from 40 per
Wow.
second to 0.0. So the difference in dose rate is
Wow.
enormous. So when they made the analysis in animal experiment and so on, they found that tumor response rate did not change in comparison to conventional radiation therapy. However, there was certain degree of protection against acute damage to normal tissue. So this was advancement, but not sufficient that we have not got the machine that he had. It's a highly complicated machine, flash radiation therapy. But there was some hope that it might increase because the dose rate was very different. And in radiobiology, it is known higher the dose rate, greater is the damage. But in this case, that concept did not apply. Because flash radiation therapy did at a much higher dose rate than conventional radiation therapy, but tumor response did not change.
Wow.
So that was very interesting observation, and I analyzed it, and so what this was happening, that in early 1979, actually until first time, as you know, Linus Pauling, who was the only American who won 2 Nobel Prizes, and he was my mentor and very close friend. And so he published a paper that high dose of vitamin C alone is improved cancer treatment. But other people could not reproduce it because they could not follow his protocol. And so there was a lot of controversy. So when I saw this controversy, I said, this guy is a 2 Nobel laureate. He can't be that wrong. Let me test his hypothesis in my experimental model. And I was working on neuroblastoma, which is a childhood cancer, neuroblastoma cell of the brain cell. And so in a cell culture model in Petri dishes. And I tried, I put various doses of vitamin C. Sure enough, very sensitive. It killed cancer cell, but did not do anything to normal cell. So I was surprised. And then I said, let me see what happens. It combined with radiation, X-ray. I was working in radiology, and chemotherapeutic agent, picked up a few of them. And sure enough, vitamin C enhances the effect of X radiation and chemotherapeutic agent on cancer cell, but protected normal tissue from the damage produced by radiation. And so I thought, I published this work in a proceeding National Academy of Science journal, which is highly prestigious. You can't publish there until member sponsor it, and a sponsoring member was Linus Pauling. So it's very interesting. So then I said, well, if vitamin C can do it, how about vitamin E? It occurred to me. As a scientist, you always think these things. So I asked my technician to order all different forms of vitamin E which are available, because everybody used vitamin E acetate, as you know. And when I tested vitamin E acetate, it was no effect on cancer cell or any cell. And so then I tried vitamin E nicotinate, didn't have any effect. Then I tried vitamin E succinate. It killed cancer cell without killing normal cell.
Kedar.
And I said, and published this work in Cancer Research Journal. But But then I said the same thing. Does vitamin E succinate, like vitamin C, also enhances the effect of radiation and chemotherapy on normal cell, but not on cancer cell? Yeah, actually protected cancer cell. Sure enough, same finding. Eating vitamin E succinate by itself enhances the effect of X radiation and and chemotherapeutic agent on a cancer cell, but protected the normal cell from the damage. So that after that, people did not pay any attention to, because I could not explain the mechanism. Because we also tested low dose of vitamin C. Low dose of vitamin C stimulates the growth of the cancer cell,
Wow.
prevents the chemotherapeutic, the beneficial effect of chemotherapy and radiation. So does the vitamin E succinate. So I said, that how can I explain this difference? There was no mechanism there. And so nobody paid attention to, oncologists ignored it. And then a few years ago, I was thinking, does cancer, again, when you're doing research, it occurs to your mind. I said, does a cancer cell require some specific nutrient for survival? This was the question in my mind, but I didn't know the answer. So I did research in the internet. Sure enough, if you deprive cancer cell with glucose or glutamine, cell will 100% will die.
Wow.
And so then I said, then the next question obviously was, is high dose antioxidant preventing the uptake of glucose and glutamine? When again, the literature said, sure enough, it does. But the difference was that some antioxidant will inhibit the uptake of glucose, while others antioxidant will inhibit the glutamine. So it is not the same antioxidant will do both. So then occurred to me, maybe I should make a multiple vitamin protocol, and suggested that the high doses of multiple antioxidant will kill cancer cell by blocking the uptake of glucose and glutamine. And we got patented, as you know, and David Navalka has approved this one. So she said that you are on your own. And it cost $30,000. Most of them was funded by my sister. And because I break even, but so I didn't have enough money to support the cost of the patent. But my sister funded it mostly. And so now, then people have started, our engaged family, some members were started saying, I have a cancer, what can I do? And my formula was not ready as yet. Now I have a quote and everything else.
Dr.
Yeah,
Prasad, just pause real quick. I want folks to see.
yeah,
This is the reprint of your paper.
yeah, yeah. This is bigger. So I said, well, I can't wait. A patient can't wait. So I said, why don't we use microdaily EMF and make it a higher dose, like 3 times of the preventive dose that you take. Instead of taking 3 capsules in the morning, 3 in the evening, you take a 9 capsule in the morning, 9 noontime, and they become a not very close to, but at least high dose antioxidant.
That's right.
And I also recommended that in a patent was not there, but also I recommend it, and I will put in the patent as well as a CPI, they call it, that intestinal dysbiosis is extremely important in initiation and progression of cancer, in the improving the treatment of both chemo and radiation therapy.
Right.
You have to take care of that. And so we recommended that when you take a therapeutic, started calling a therapeutic dose of antioxidant for cancer treatment together with the probiotics and prebiotics, but no collagen, because collagen interfere with the migration of tumor cell, killing cell from immune system to tumor
Understood.
cell. So no collagen. But at least those two is a must. And also, if you are getting a chemotherapy and radiation, that affects your intestine digestion because they damage the intestine. But if you are taking it, your digestion is mostly protected, but still it is a good idea to take the digestive boost as well. But at least minimum, we are recommending you must have a during chemotherapy, radiation therapy, or no therapy, you must have a high dose antioxidant like we recommend, as well as the probiotics and prebiotics. Those two are must. And we are verge of, this is good news, we are verge of getting funded for a phase 1 trial because our goal is to get the FDA approval.
That's beautiful, Dr. Prasad. And that's music to our ears to hear that this is even possible. We do have some examples that we want to share that illustrate to folks that your hypothesis and your published work and your patented efforts is not in vain. That this really goes beyond theory. So there's a lot of folks that are here for the first time. So I'm going to just share two stories real quick, Dr. Prasad,
Sure.
that we have discussed before. But and then I'm going to show yet another one. You know what, Dr. Prasad? There's one that I think would be good to just hear right now. This was a woman who had triple breast cancer.
That's a tough one because they are very resistant to everything.
Yeah.
They go through, but doesn't do any good.
Yeah. Well, her doctor recommended that she get high doses of chemo and radiation. But she decided to take her chances with your formula in high doses. Because she'll tell the whole story here in a minute. She chose to remain anonymous, so she did not want to have her name published. She didn't want anything. So all she did was send a letter. So I just had AI read the letter, so we don't have anyone's voice. So I want to share that. Maybe this will help people to understand it, because they'll get an idea of that this is for real. So hang on just 1 second here.
My experience with breast cancer. A friend of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer shortly before I was scheduled to go in for my annual physical checkup. Due to my very busy schedule, I would have typically delayed my annual exam since I felt well. I went in for the mammogram and had to wait longer than usual to get the results. I had felt what I thought was simply breast tissue or muscular tissue in my breast. It didn't feel like what I imagined a lump in the breast would feel like. So, I mentioned this to the sonographer who would be performing the mammogram. Unfortunately, this did turn out to be a cause for concern for the radiologist. He sat down and explained to me that he suspected I had breast cancer. He recommended a biopsy and a breast MRI, which I did get. To my surprise, the ultrasound and breast MRI confirmed the radiologist's suspicions. Next, I had a biopsy done. So, about 2 weeks later from the date of the mammogram, it was officially confirmed that I had an aggressive type of breast cancer, invasive ductal carcinoma, grade 3, triple positive for estrogen, progesterone, and the HER2 protein. I was stunned since I felt well and had spent thousands of dollars trying to eat healthy, organic foods. Afterward, I was referred to an oncologist and assigned a breast navigator. I had many questions for each one. Their solution to my health crisis was the conventional approach, surgery, 12 to 19 rounds of chemotherapy, followed by radiation. I didn't like any of these options. A family member encouraged me to seek a second opinion. The second oncologist recommended chemo first and then surgery afterward and indicated that the cancer was very aggressive and had already begun to spread. So, I finally consented to take chemo treatments with the hopes of buying time to try a natural approach. Taking chemo was a disaster. I came near to death after receiving the first round of chemo for only about 30 seconds to 1 minute. I couldn't breathe. My lungs were rapidly filling up with fluid and my heart was as if it were going to stop beating. I truly felt as if I was drowning in water, but I was only sitting in a chair while receiving chemotherapy. I tried to get up from the chair to call for help, but I couldn't get up quickly enough. A family member who had accompanied me, fortunately, ran to get the nurse who had administered the chemo. She issued some kind of alert to notify the doctor on duty, and staff came in droves to assist with this crisis. She pumped me with a huge dose of a drug to try to quickly reverse the effects of chemotherapy. Fortunately, I was able to breathe again and the fluid in my lungs seemed to dissipate. For 2 weeks, I was affected by the decision to take chemotherapy. I was in bed for about 2 weeks. I struggled to get up or to walk about and had great pain throughout my body. The pain was excruciating. Nothing I took would stop the pain. I prayed earnestly for help. And, finally, relief did come. A family member gave me water with an electrolyte powder mixed in it. Eventually, after much prayer, I went off to sleep and later woke up feeling somewhat better. I resolved in my heart that I would never, ever take chemo again, even if I had to die. This decision angered the doctors. However, I was determined not to repeat the horrible experience I had with taking chemo. 2 dear friends spoke with a relative of mine about microdaily and how it had proven helpful to many individuals with serious illnesses. Since I was determined not to go the conventional route of receiving chemo, I decided that doing something would be better than doing nothing. I began to go on a regimen of 27 EMF capsules each day, 9 in the morning with breakfast, 9 at lunchtime with food, and 9 in the evening with food. Although I refused to continue with the conventional way of treating breast cancer, with surgery, chemo, and radiation, I did want an oncologist to continue to monitor me over the months to advise me on the rate of the spread of aggressive cancer. So, several months later, I went to a new oncologist who decided to get a baseline of how much the cancer had progressed. He recommended that I, at a minimum, go and talk with a surgeon about my diagnosis and have a PET scan performed. During all of this time prior to seeing the surgeon, I took the microdaily religiously. I believe that in the oncologist's heart, he was sure the cancer had spread. However, when I got the test results back from the PET scan, there was no evidence of cancer found. The surgeon was shocked. He found it very difficult to believe that the cancer was undetectable. He finally admitted that I had experienced a miracle. Next, I went back to follow up with the oncologist. He stated that these tests, such as the PET scan, are rudimentary and that the cancer must still be in my body. So, I had an MRI done a short time later. Either it would confirm that the cancer is still present or confirm that there was no traceable cancer left. After I had the MRI done, the doctor who read the MRI results put in the report that the previously detectable malignant tumor was no longer present and that there was no longer any evidence of any cancer on the scan. When I returned to the oncologist for the follow-up visit, he told me that somehow, I had experienced a miracle and that God, my God, Jehovah, must have helped me. So, I was free to go and no longer had to stay in jail. He simply recommended following up 6 months later to retest to confirm that the cancer was still untraceable in my body. I'm so thankful to the Creator, Jehovah, to a dear family member who kept searching to find something to help me, and to the 2 dear friends, Jonathan Jones and Bernard Dean, who introduced microdaily to me. I'm a living testimony that microdaily can really work for individuals diagnosed with breast cancer.
So, Dr. Prasad,
Jonathan, can you send me a copy? Is it possible to send me a copy of that or not?
absolutely, sir. I will send you a copy of that. And the only reason that we have not gone on the record with this again is because she decided to remain anonymous at the moment.
Yeah, right. Anonymous, that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's pursuing certain things, claims and other things that she needs to stay off the record, but she is willing to get the doctor to go on the record also. That this happened. So, but help us understand what happened here, Dr. Prasad. Okay, just we know what your explanation was earlier. We heard what you said about the cancer needing the uptake of glucose and glutamine. We heard you.
Yeah.
Can you help us wrap our mind around what she just said, Dr. Prasad?
So if they block it, the cancer cell will die, no matter what kind of cancer. It doesn't make difference whether you are sensitive, treatment sensitive, in this case, treatment resistance, or any kind of cancer. It doesn't make difference as long as you are a cancer cell. If you block glucose and glutamine, and high-dose antioxidant does it, multiple one, some does glucose, some does glutamine, cancer cell have no choice but die.
Wow. So this does not surprise you.
but I'm very extraordinarily pleased. I thought that in the beginning, people will use just the with radiation and chemotherapy, but in this case, this is the first evidence that I have heard it. No, you heard it. Another one was melanoma, where they didn't have any treatment. So it looks like, I mean, if it is gets FDA approval and the result we get the way we are getting now, with this one, it changed the history of cancer treatment.
Dr. Prasad, you just said that there's a chance that that your work could change the way cancer treatment is done.
Yeah, I mean, it's so simple. It is so simple. But see, this was simple, and as you know, major discovery is a very simple mechanism, no complexity.
That's right.
It will not become complex. But so the phase 1 trial we are doing, it first would be see the first that make sure it is not toxic. We know it is not toxic, so that will go very fast. And the second is the efficacy of just alone, how it is.
Yeah.
And then at that time, they will determine whether it is worth going with chemo or radiation or not.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Well, we're looking forward to that. I'm going to share with you one more story, again, for the benefit of our audience, so that they
Sure.
know that we're talking about improving the outcome of treatment. So this one is a gentleman named Rick, and for those of you who would not like to see an open wound, this would be the time for you to put something over your screen, because we're about to show you an open wound on a man's face. Okay, so you've been warned. It won't last long, but we will show it to you. So this is the gentleman here, Dr. Prasad.
Yeah.
And this is on August of 2023. His name is Rick, and it's Beth Sturdivant that was involved in this. So I don't know, Beth, if you are here and you want to relate the story for us, we would love to hear it from you, Beth, if you don't mind. I thought I saw her come in on the meeting. I'm not sure if she's available or not.
If she's not available, I can tell you because she provided me the information.
Okay, please.
This was a basal cell carcinoma, and the doctor told him he was not responding it, so he sent him to some hospital where they get a proton beam therapy, and proton beam therapy is much more, 10 times more effective than X-ray or gamma ray. And he get a 33 treatment, and the result was that. But in this second picture it was in the beginning when the treatment started, and then he took, for some reason he got access to high dose antioxidant, just the EMF, and he was taking the therapeutic dose of microdaily EMF during the treatment. And you see that in November, it is August, October, November, in 2 months' time, he looks normal. And when the treatment started, he was looking like this.
Wow.
Because other places they treated by chemo and it didn't do very good. So they sent him to another hospital to get a high energy proton beam therapy. And that before he started it, he said, maybe I will take some therapeutic dose of microdaily EMF, like 27 capsules, like she was saying.
Yeah.
And the result, they see that you can't recognize it is the same person in 2 months.
Hey, Jonathan, I'm on here.
Hey,
Oh,
Beth.
okay. Beth, maybe you can explain better.
Yeah, so one thing I want to say is that they were able to get the product before they actually went 2 days before.
Yeah.
And so he was able to get it in before he actually started treatment. But I say that too, because if I wouldn't have had the product, they wouldn't have been able to get it. So it's important for leaders to definitely have product for people to grab if they need it. But, they were very faithful at taking the product, and he did not lose his hair. He also had energy. He wasn't sick like everybody else that was in there getting the, radiation and that. So I give it to his wife because she really made sure that he took it, and then also to him for just, taking it, because he didn't know anything about this product. He just basically did it because, he knows me and some other people. So amazing. And he's doing great. And he's had tests done to, that he doesn't have the cancer. And then also, too, they were telling him he was going to lose his eye. And his eyesight has actually improved now.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's major, too.
Oh, my goodness.
It's amazing. I mean, that's why I'm saying that phase 1 trial will be so successful that, we are very close to get funded on this issue. So,
wow, this is incredible. So, Dr. Prasad, we get chills every time we hear the stories, and it never stops, because we see it over and over and over again where people are getting this kind of result. Thank you very much, Beth, for giving us the update on that.
Absolutely.
And just like the anonymous woman earlier, Dr. Prasad, she 2 or 3 years later, no, this is like her 3rd year now, and she's still cancer-free.
Yeah.
So something about your formula, Dr. Prasad, that's making a huge difference. This is mind-numbing to us.
Yeah, I mean, all the cancers are killed, then there is no reason for anybody to survive there.
That's right. That's right.
They don't get glucose and glutamine, they die.
And so now we need to make sure that everybody understands this, is that your proposal, of course, is that this enhance the treatment. So whatever conventional treatment that they're taking, then they can continue taking that treatment.
Yeah, but I always encourage people that doctor follow oncologist advice, but just introduce this one before treatment. That's all.
That's it. Introduce it before treatment, and they can expect that it will help to protect the healthy cells.
Yes.
And it will make the conventional treatment have a better response, because if the cancer cells are also being helped to die along with the free radical, attack.
Yes, because X-radiation, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy kill cancer cell by generating free radicals. So the mechanism is totally different of killing. High-dose antioxidant kills cancer cell by deprive them glucose and glutamine. So obviously it will be much more effective than individually, than radiation therapy or chemotherapy alone.
That's it.
And it also protects normal tissue.
And protecting normal tissue at the same time. So, and I hope everybody can just really wrap their minds around what Professor Prasad is recommending here. So even though we can't get access to his patented formula, we have access to the next best thing. And that's where we are here with high doses of EMF, high doses of it, along with probiotic to protect intestinal dysbiosis.
Yes.
And then this would really help us. We got one hand up here. I'm not sure if this Hayden, if you're asking a question about one of the testimonials.
Jonathan, maybe the melanoma. Maybe you may like to show them melanoma that you sent me one time.
Yes, I can. I'll be happy to show them that one also.
Yeah, at some point, but you don't have to now.
No, I can show it right now, as a matter of fact, because these folks need to see that this is for real.
Yeah, this is another example of. Look at that. April 18th and May.
April
2 weeks.
One second, Hayden. This was yet another case, and this happened down in Ecuador. We can see the picture on the left there. So tell us what that is, Dr. Prasad, on the left. What are we seeing?
It is a melanoma tissue, and it was not healing. And according to doctor's suggestion that they were going to amputate it because it was not healing with all therapy that they were getting. And they said that you will die if you don't amputate it. And somehow they got access to, he or she got access to a microdaily therapeutic dose, and result, you can see that.
And that's just, we're only talking, this is April the 18th is when it started, Dr. Prasad, to May the 1st. That's like 15, 16 days.
Yeah, I know. I mean, these are amazing results. Nobody will believe it. Maybe we'll say that, like doctor said, it's a God intervention. Yeah, God suggested it, but intervention was high-dose antioxidant.
That's just mind-boggling, Go ahead, Hayden, you have a question.
Hayden.
Yes, hi, everybody. My question is, in Dr. Prasad's research, as far as glucose and glutamine contributing to cancer, is there any relationship of your glucose levels if you're diabetic? Did you discover any link between high glucose or fluctuating glucose levels in diabetics
No,
in
I think
relation to
diabetes
cancer?
is a different disease. High glucose level has nothing to do with the formation of a cancer. Cancer formation is totally new things. But many people who have many obese people who also are at risk of diabetes also at increased risk of cancer
Yes.
because under these kind of conditions, you have increased oxidative stress and increased inflammation, and both of them contribute to the mutation in a gene. And when the mutation occurs in a right gene, like oncogene or tumor suppressor gene, the cell becomes cancerous. But most of the time, mutation is harmless, doesn't make any difference. But one time, by chance, it is a random event. It is not
Yeah.
planned, it is random events. And then mutation occurs in right place. For example, gene which controls the differentiation of cell. Normal cell divide, differentiate, and die. But the gene who controls that process, and I have published paper on that because I was the first one to propose this mechanism of cancer, that there is also a differentiation gene, not only oncogene and tumor suppressor gene, there is also a differentiation gene. Either three of them get hit, then you have a cancer.
Wow.
All right.
Nothing to do
Thank you.
with diabetes as a disease.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Hayden, for your question.
Thank you. Yeah.
No problem. Thanks.
So Dr. Prasad, we're seeing some pretty remarkable things, and I think for the sake of our audience, I'm just going to just run through here real quick. The reminder: these are the products that Dr. Prasad recommends, and the person who invited you here, they can help you to get access to this. That's the EMF Hydro.
Yeah, hydro is preferable, and the reason is because it is difficult to get it 27 capsules per day for a long time.
Yes.
But hydro is the same effect, exactly same effect. Actually, a little better because it is absorbed will be informally. And so I always recommend now that take a hydro, and 3 in the morning, 3 in the noontime, and 3 in the evening.
That's it. 333 is the same as taking 999 of the capsules.
Right, exactly. And this is a much easier way. And the quote that I got from my patent formula would be the same. It will be in a jar, 2.5 or half a gram, 5 grams scoop. You pick up, mix with water and shake it and drink it.
Right.
You can drink slowly. You can drink within an hour. It is stable.
Wow, that's pretty good. All right, so you can get this either in the powder or the capsules. And Dr.
And then it could not quickly get dissolved. You have to shake it.
Right.
And therefore you have to have some kind of container. Like, one time Engage provided that kind of container that is there. And it was also dark, so it is not light sensitive.
Right.
And so you shake it up and then drink it and then wash it and then again use it again.
That's it. You're good. You're good. Very good. And this is the probiotic. And and so that everybody understands this, just really quickly, this Dr. Prasad chose the heat resistant and acid resistant strains of bacteria that will make it to the places that it needs to go. So this is why this is the best one on the market right now.
Yeah.
We're
Most of the product in the market is by Fido and Lactobacillus, a strain of bacteria, which are very beneficial bacteria. But in a capsule form, when you take it, 60 to 70% are destroyed in a stomach pH. Then it goes to intestine, but there is another acid environment, bile acid, get further damaged. So by the time it goes to lower colon, that not too many left to form the colony and can be can produce optimal benefit. So we added two strain. One is the Bacillus coagulant, which is the only probiotics has been approved by the FDA to be added in an infant formula, because infants are, as you know, a sterile gut, and there is a hazard of increasing the risk of harmful bacteria forming the colony. So to prevent that, they have recommended that you add the Bacillus coagulant, and Bacillus coagulant individually has been also tested in a human in intestinal bowels inflammatory syndrome, and they produce some benefit. But I thought, well, not only that, but another one is Saccharomyces boulardii, which is yeast-derived, and these two are acid resistant. And so while the acid is busy destroying it, they can't destroy these two. So at least more beneficial bacteria will be spared.
That's it. That's it.
So I think that's why this is very effective. I take every day, and many people who have taken this reported very useful function.
Well, Dr. Prasad, taking this and while taking the GLP-1 boost has been amazing so far. This is the omega.
Again, omega-3 is a very important one, as you know. It is essential, absolutely essential fatty acid for your health, but your body does not make it. You rely totally on diet, and the diet has only the ALA, alpha linolenic acid,
which is the omega-6.
And that is like vegetarian diet. But the rate of conversion from ALA to DHA or EPA is extremely slow.
Okay.
And that's why it is very important to have already like omega-3 daily. And if you take a fish, or say, for example, salmon, then if it is a farm raised, you have a zero omega-3 because they eat algae, and algae has already made omega-3 for fish. So they eat it, and then their body is very high level of omega-3. But to avoid, nobody can eat every day salmon. And so I like salmon, but I can't eat every day. So this is the best way to supplement it. And don't forget that EPA is very important for your heart function. And DHA, it has two components, EPA and DHA. And DHA is very important for your brain. So much so important that 40% of fatty acid of your brain is a DHA.
Wow.
And if you have high oxidative stress in the brain, the DHA gets very easily oxidized. And once they become oxidized, it is no more functional. It can perform its function.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's why very important to have a supplement of omega-3 for your general health. In this case, has nothing to do with cancer, but your general health I'm talking about.
Wow. That's critically important. And
it is
good for folks to know.
Yeah.
Dr. Prasad, before we wrap up, a couple of questions have come in.
Sure.
Sarcoma. Sarcoma is just another form of cancer, right? So can we expect that the high doses of therapeutic doses of antioxidants?
Glaucoma.
Sarcoma.
Oh, any kind of cancer doesn't make difference. Whether it's sarcoma or it is a...
So it doesn't matter if it's blood or bone or muscle, whatever.
No, makes no difference.
It's a form of cancer, and it has to have glucose.
As long as it's a cancer,
It's got to have glucose and glutamine to survive.
For survival.
Okay. One more question for you. This one is called central tremor disorder. Oh, this is a neurological condition. This is not cancer related. Central
tremor is generally in Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, it's a neurological condition characterized by involuntary rhythmic shaking, tremors, in the central nervous system, specifically the brain and spinal cord. Any comments on how microdaily might benefit someone like that with that?
Well, here the treatment of Parkinson's disease, and as you know, the guy who discovered the treatment of L-DOPA, Dr. Kazia, I work as a postdoctoral with him on this issue. But the patient who gets the L-DOPA treatment, or DOPA therapy, they also call it, they do very well. I mean, for 5 years. But then what happens? L-DOPA started producing more dopamine, and they get oxidized, generates a lot of free radicals. So after 5 years, the gait movement, everything becomes worse.
Oh, wow.
So how to take the advantage of both? If you are on L-DOPA therapy, you also take microdaily EMF and because probiotics intestinal dysbiosis is involved in almost all these human diseases. So you at least take micronutrient and the EMF and probiotics together with L-DOPA therapy, and your effectiveness of the drug will last much longer and you will feel much better.
Okay. Okay. We've said it before, Dr. Prasad, that you've forgotten more than most of us know. So you just coughed that up like a hairball.
No, I know, this is, of course, as you know, collagen peptide is very important for aging purpose and everything else. And so I think that will be important if you can afford it. Also have a collagen peptide, but collagen peptide has no direct role but collagen, if you lose collagen in your skin, you see it, but if you are losing in the brain or say brain, for example, you don't see that. But a structure, one of the major function of collagen is to maintain the structural integrity of your all organ, including brain. So if skin shrinks, your brain is also shrinking. And this has been demonstrated by MRI. And the best thing would be, and in Alzheimer cases, because they found that the MRI shows that certain area of the brain of the patient of Alzheimer was shrinking. So they put a clinical study, double blind, is a 5 grams every day collagen peptides for 90 days and redo the experiment and found that shrinkage has markedly improved, memory loss has markedly improved. So nobody have not looked the literature whether how useful collagen peptide would be for Parkinson's disease, but I'm sure it will be helpful, but I don't know how.
Wow.
Writing a review paper on this issue again. So,
wow. Yeah, we need to circle back on that one. Dr. Prasad, we got one story that I see in the chat here. I'm hoping that she'll tell her story real quick.
Sure.
We're going a minute overtime right now, but Lisa King.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us briefly your story here, Lisa?
Hi. Yes, I can.
Hang on one
So
second.
about a year ago, October
hang
of
on
last year.
hang on 1 second, Lisa. 1 second. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. So 2023 October, my husband had a very persistent cough, and so kept going back and forth to emergency. But bottom line, they sent him to the ENT, and he had a cucumber size nodule on his neck, and they did a biopsy, and it ended up being cancerous. So they wanted to start radiation and chemo, and then radiation like immediately. Before then, I spoke with Coraline, who introduced me to the product, and so she was telling me I needed to get him on the therapeutic dose immediately. And then come to find out, I had signed up with Coraline months prior to that. And so I actually had some of the product there in my cabinet and wasn't doing anything with it. So I pulled it out immediately. We started giving him the therapeutic dose faithfully, and that tumor just started going down, down, down. And then we were hoping to continue that before the tumor had gone all the way down, but they started with the chemo. So once he was still on the therapeutic dose and taking the chemo, and then the tumor went all the way down. And his doctor, she was just in awe, like, she was really believing that the chemo did that. But we knew different. So he started the radiation, and with the radiation, he had to discontinue it because just as that video, we were listening to, the radiation had burned his neck severely. So he stopped the radiation and continued with the therapeutic dose. And then bottom line, once that finished, he had another PET scan done, and it showed 0 cancer from stage 4 to 0. And the nodule on his neck totally gone. And so now, they were like scheduling his every 3 months for a PET scan. And the last time he went, they were like, no, it's not even necessary, anymore, because your liver is great, your kidney's great, all of your organs are great, and 0. They just detect barely a little bit of his iron being a little bit low. But we are in it to win it. Dr. Prasad, you are freaking amazing. And we are Microdaily for life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for sharing your story.
Yeah, that makes me happy, and that gave me extra energy.
I bet it does, Dr. Prasad. That's pretty amazing. Someone raised the question, what about for just general health? Is it okay to take triple therapeutic doses of Microdaily?
Yeah.
So it won't hurt, even if I'm perfectly healthy and I just want to feel really good right now. Can I take therapeutic doses of Microdaily?
If you are healthy, therapeutic dose is only for cancer patients.
So it's not necessary.
Not necessary at all.
It's just overkill.
Yeah. It's not necessary at all.
I hope that answers the question there. But Dr. Prasad, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
We cannot say thank you enough. Everybody, if you want to, listen, by the way, next week, bring your testimonials. Jeff is going to be doing the testimonial call with Dr. Prasad next week on Sunday. So we want to hear your stories this week. And don't forget, folks, right now as the weight loss contest is beginning.
Yeah. Do you know anything about weight loss? I have not heard any report. Anybody?
Dr. Prasad, I can just tell you, I took 2 capsules this morning, and for some reason, all I had was a little bit of chicken and a salad. My appetite, my cravings are just in the toilet right now. They just I don't have the cravings right now. No pun intended, but that's the truth. It's great. It's phenomenal. I don't know what anyone else is having right now, but maybe next weekend we'll have some testimonials on the weight loss also.
Yeah, also that is very important. Yeah, that will be a good one. Also make sure that you have micronutrient in the stomach, because if your gastric is not emptying regular way, then as you know, during digestion process, a lot of mutagen and carcinogens are formed. And so if they are not being eliminated because you are taking GLP-1, that means they will be absorbed gradually. But if you are taking micronutrient at the same time, so your intestine has an antioxidant, then toxic chemicals does not form.
Protect it. That's it. Take Microdaily at the same time that you're taking the GLP-1.
Yeah, exactly. Folks. At least you take that one.
This stuff is working, Dr. Prasad. It's working, and I've had energy all day long. I don't understand it. I've eaten a fraction what I normally eat.
Many things I don't understand either. That's why you guys are getting
this morning, Dr. Prasad, I was down 2 pounds, so I can tell you that. Okay, all I did yesterday was take your formula yesterday, GLP-1 boost, Microdaily. I was down 2 pounds this morning, Dr. Prasad.
Wow.
Wow, thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Prasad.
Thank you.
And it is not toxic.
Thank you.
Non-toxic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you guys very much. My team, 615.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Love you.
God bless you, Dr. Prasad.
See you next week.